Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ski Talk. That's right. Another week of Ski Talk is here. I'm Dan Egan coming to you from London. We've got a truly worldwide show tonight. Just wrapped up one of my book tours on Kensington High Street here in London. Was speaking at Eton College last night. And up to the NEC Ski Snow Show in Birmingham for the weekend. It's that time of year where if you're a skier or a snowboarder, are the dreams getting more and more intense? Are you waking up going, oh, I need some powder? We're getting so close. You can almost smell it. They're starting to make snow in Killington for the World Cup. And the snow out west already falling around Park City and up in Big Sky and beyond. So we're all fired up. And this week, we want to talk about kids skiing because when I was a little ankle biter, the fall in the Egan household was all about getting up to the attic and seeing what boots fit, who grew out of what skis, what one-piece day-glow suit was going to be yours next. It was like Christmas time every fall to see what boots and what skis you would get. It's that time of year for ski sales, ski shows, movie premieres, and so much more. And we're fired up here on Ski Talk, as we always are. And we have a great show with a big lineup talking about kids skiing tonight, for everything from books to equipment and how to teach your children how to ski and so much more. And of course, we're joined, as always, by Phil and Tricia, the founders of SkiTalk.com. And how are we doing tonight, team? How's everybody?
We are ready for snow. I'm really tired of the fall allergy season, and I'm ready for the snow to fall and get moving into the next season.
Yeah, we just took a whole tour through Western U.S. We visited with Bodie Miller up at Peak. We're in Utah visiting with manufacturers there. We went up to Big Sky getting ready for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That's going to be in March. Then we went to the Hall of Fame in Michigan. We stopped in Colorado and visited with a couple of manufacturers there. We saw the snow up on the peaks. Really excited. We went to Copper Mountain. They're blowing snow there, getting ready for the ski teams. I mean, it is the time of year. We're getting ready into our fall wear here. It's getting nice and chilly at night. So we're getting into some great weather here to wear our CB jackets.
You're definitely donning the CB look. Tell us about that, Phil. I love that. I love that look of CB.
It's funny when we're getting everything out for this. CB is such an iconic brand, specifically if you grew up in the Northeast. All the best skiers on the hill, you could recognize them by the clothing that they wore. And a lot of it was the traditional CB jackets. And what's nice with their new collections, it's hard to tell if it's older design or the new one. They kept true to their traditional designs and such classic looks. And again, quality just never goes out of style. And we want to thank the CB team for getting aboard with us.
Absolutely. We're excited to have them on board as a sponsor. And, Tricia, this was really your brainchild, talking about kids skiing and getting them out there. And I love that idea. And I'm glad we're focusing on it because there's so many families out there this time of year. They have all sorts of questions on what, are my kids going to outgrow my boots, what skis to get them, that sort of thing. What was the sort of the brainchild here that gets you motivated in this direction?
I never had children of my own, but I was really close to my niece and nephew, and they went to a little church school back in northern Michigan. And my nephew reached out to me and asked me if I would help get involved with their kids program to be able to take the church school kids to a ski program at Cabernet Peaks in northern Michigan, which is a little 375-foot vertical hill. And the Meyer family, who owned Cabernet Peaks, worked with me, and we got a great program where the kids could go and get rental gear and a ski lesson for their first time out at a lift ticket for $13. Wow. And it was a pretty incredible program, and we got a lot of kids that were enthused about skiing. And then the moms who were driving the kids, because we didn't have a bus, so it was a carpool. Your mom will bring us if the other mom will bring us back. And a lot of the moms ended up joining in the program and starting to learn to ski with their kids. And it was really cool because we saw families grow into it.
That's awesome. It's all about growing into it and having fun and just getting out there and going after it. Of course, we're joined tonight by Kimberley Kay, the author of Ski A to Z. Kimberly's a good friend of mine, a very talented artist. She did all of the illustrations for 30 years in a White Haze, and she's recently out with her own book, a complete glossary of ski terms from A to Z. Excited to have Kim on the show tonight. Kim, how you doing?
Oh, that's great to be here.
Yeah, you were also joining us from London, is that right?
I'm actually in Sheffield, but same time zone. So yeah, in the UK. So it's starting to feel more kind of crispy and chilly at night. So winter's definitely on its way.
So I think people are always interested in the British ski market and what you guys do on dry slopes. And tomorrow I'm going to be skiing indoors up at Hamel Hampstead. Tell us what the ski scene is like here in Great Britain this time of year.
Well, we are blessed with a lot of artificial slopes. There's dry slopes, which is like a brush surface, which is quite, it's quite good to ski on until you kind of land on your face and takes your skin off. But other than that, we've got the indoor snow slopes. So they're dotted around the UK. So we've got a good selection of places to be able to go and ski. And as you say, it's this time of year. We've got the National Snow Show this weekend in Birmingham. So I'm personally getting all prepped for that. So I've got a stand and speaking there this weekend. So I'm getting together the books, art prints, cards, and just going to be so good to be there with everybody, chatting, skiing, seeing the new kit for the season. So yeah, it's just everything's starting to buzz with excitement for the season.
And you're from a ski family. You and your brother are both really good skiers, racers. I met your parents last year on the book tour. And just tell us about your family experience. How did you guys ski? And did you go to the Alps? How did you do it?
Yeah, well, we used to swim. And then there was these strikes, power cuts. And so basically they closed all the public pools. My parents were looking for something for us to do. So 5 minutes from our house, there was a dry ski slope at Ski Rosendale. And so that became basically where we kind of pretty much sort of spent our childhoods, me and my brother. And yeah, my parents both, we used to ski and, all as a family, and we'd race there. I later worked there. And also through all that time, we'd also be going out. We used to go to Austria very often, and then later France, and then to the States sometimes. And so yeah, it's definitely been kind of like this sort of driving force of our family's decisions. So yeah, my brother's an instructor in the French Alps, and so yeah, so it goes on. But yeah, definitely made a massive impact on our lives, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the book, to make it easier for people to be able to try and get into this fabulous sport, which we're all, so blessed to know about. And if people haven't tried it, then there can be information barriers, which mean that they just don't know where to start. So that's kind of been the point of the work that I'm doing.
You have a book there you can hold up so people can see that cover.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing. This is Ski A to Z. Of course, you can get it on Kim's website, on my website. Just fascinating. We'll go through and look at some of the illustrations all throughout the show. But of course, you have to dig up the one. My favorite is the ski boot. I love that with everybody. When I was a little boy, that's the one. I love that one. That is so good, so good. I don't know about you, Phil, but when I was a kid, we didn't have sort of like kids equipment, right? We were kids either skiing in older brothers or adult equipment, boots that fit or didn't fit, skis. It didn't really, as long as the boot fit in the bindings would go. It's kind of different today, right? There's a lot of equipment that's specially made for kids.
Oh my God. The options are just incredible, where, like you said, it was a one size fits all in the previous years. And I'll tell you, the one thing that we've learned, and we work with a lot of retailers as far as consultings, and having them work with their customers. The one thing that I want to convey to the parents with kids gear is kids need to grow out of gear, not into it. And we need to have gear that properly fits them. Don't expect this for little Johnny or little Jill for this first pair of boots or skis to get them through high school, college, and their first marriage. We need something that is going to we plan for 1 year, maybe hope for 2. That is going to make their progression so much better in this, because we've got some equipment now that and we're going to see a little bit later on, is that are just designed specifically now for kids. And to size it properly is just key. I mean, to put a kid in a boot 2 sizes too big, that's like an adult being in a boot 4 sizes too big. And when you scale that proportion, and I mean, they just can't flex the boot in, and it really hinders their progression. But to set them up for success is one of the things that we really want to work with the kids in getting them out in equipment.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, Fischer's on the forefront of this. Why don't you introduce our next guest?
Yep. We have Brian Landrigan, who is the product manager for Fischer USA. And they have really a revolutionary new boot for kids. And they really stepped back from this process and thought about what kids need. And I really think they hit a home run with this new boot.
So, Brian, how are you doing, man? How's everything?
I'm doing great. Great to be here with you guys. Here in New England, leaves are changing colors and we're getting excited for winter. I'm growing out my winter beard here and super excited to go skiing. But yeah, really excited to talk to you guys about the new Fischer 1 and the Fischer 2, which look a lot different than any ski boot that you've seen before for kids. And we can start talking some details on these. I'm here to answer your guys' questions and show you guys these great new boots. And I think Phil gave a pretty good introduction, and I think that's great. Kids should be growing
into their
and not out of their gear.
No,
Well said.
no, that's back. But
growing
there's
out of
no-
their gear.
Yes.
Should be
Right.
Brian,
You
where's the
said it better
buckle?
than I.
I don't see any buckles, Brian. What's going on with those boots?
So you've got this outer gaiter here. So it's a double layer boot. So once you unzip the gaiter here, that's where the magic starts happening on the boot. So this first boot I'm going to show you is the Fischer 1. So this starts at a size 15.5 and goes up to a size 17.5. So this is for the real little guys and girls. And when you open up that gaiter, you kind of expose what's going on the inside here. So you've got a strap that's really easy to use for kids. Nice big pull tab on there. Open that up, and then it allows you to jump into the boot super easy. You've got these pull tabs on the side too, so kids can get it on themselves. And then once they're in the boot and ready to go, you just pull the strap on tight, roll this gaiter up, and then you zip it up and you're ready to go skiing. So the idea here is kids, when they're going skiing, they're really playing in the snow. Not so much skiing is the important part, especially for the real little guys. So this is warm, it's waterproof, it's super light. It's only 375 grams. So this is really easy for a little kid to put on themselves and intuitive for them to walk. You've got the grip walk sole on there, the lightweight and the gaiter. So this is a boot that's great for skiing, obviously, but also great for just running around and playing in the snow.
That is genius. Congratulations. Well done. And that's really going to revolutionize a lot of things. Unlike my skiing experience as a kid, I was just in a pair of leather lace-ups bouncing up and down on the couch. And my mom just kicked me outside in the wintertime to get the heck out of the house. Of course, our featured guest tonight is none other than Eric Lipton, the guru of skiing, the man who's basically created the skiing techniques for kids, adults, and everybody beyond. It's a great honor to have Eric with us tonight. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dan. That's quite an introduction. I don't know that I could claim all of all that notoriety, but thanks. No, it's great to be here. Let's talk about kids' lessons, what's happening there in kids' snow sports school around the country. Where should we start?
Well, it's amazing, Eric, because you have been on the forefront with the PSIA demo team and thinking about this, and not only equipment but just how parents approach it for kids. And what's been how has that evolved kids' ski school even in the last 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think, and let's nail it down even further, Dan. Let's double click on this and go post-pandemic, because a lot has changed since the pandemic. I think there was certainly a time where an all-day kids program was pretty much the same everywhere you go, and resorts would really, there wasn't much customization. They would say, okay, parents want to drop the kids off, go for the day, and then not see the kids again until 3:00 or 3:30, right? There was one program, and many of us grew up in a program like that, like the old Ski Week program from years ago. But I think the homogeneity of the kids' ski school experience now in a post-pandemic world is really gone by the wayside, and resorts have really customized experiences, starting with smaller group sizes, right? And we've all seen like 25 kids out there with one instructor, right? A snake coming down the mountain. And I think you're going to see less of that moving forward. I think you're also going to see more diversified offerings, like, and that'll depend on whether it's destination or day trip ski areas. But there's a morning program or an afternoon program. Some resorts have gone away from the full day entirely, where the parents have to pick the kids up for lunch, right? So there isn't morning and afternoon full, it's just morning or afternoon, and that allows them to serve a lot more kids and then have smaller group sizes. Just to focus on the guest experience for parents also, because resorts used to hate how parents would drop a kid off, but then they would hover and kind of watch, and the instructors would say to their ski school director, I can't get anything done, or as soon as the kid sees mom and dad, they're crying, or we really can't get the lessons started because parents are such a distraction. And resorts have come to realize, especially with millennial parents, that they want to play a larger part in their kids' lives and want to be around the activities. And so they're creating like viewing areas, or like building this into the programming where parents can watch and still observe from a distance. I think that's really interesting.
No, it is. That's super interesting to see that sort of more interactive, a little bit more hands-on. We definitely see that at Big Sky, where the parents, want to take an active approach and maybe even ski a couple runs with their kids throughout the day too, to have that bonding. Where do you see, the age breaks? What years should you start dropping your kids, beyond daycare into day school and moving on up like that? What are the age breaks?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for every child, but there a couple of resorts really do break it down and create more customized experiences. Like, again, if we go back, like as you said, so pre-pandemic or 10 years ago, there was like a 3 to 6 year old program and a 7 to 14. That may be all you got. But a place like Big Sky, which you and I are both intimately familiar with, and who we do a lot of work with, they have a small fry try program where it's 45 minutes. So you can drop a kid off for a 45-minute lesson. You don't even really drop them off, but they'll take a kid out in basically a snow play introduction to the sport of skiing or snowboarding, 45 minutes. And it might be just the right amount of time before a kid, either has God forbid, has a temper tantrum or decides I need a break. 45 minutes, let's like dip our toe in the water and not just drop our kid off all day. They have a 3-year-old morning program. So it's just the morning for 3-year-olds. And then a 4 to 6 year olds for a morning for a half day or a full day. So Big Sky does a fantastic job of this. I mean, we're really proud of that affiliation. They're an awesome resort when it comes to this. Another destination resort that is doing something a little different, but super impactful and is really resonating is Steamboat, where they break down age groups, Dan, every like 6 months. So they have a 3 to 3.5 year old program. They have a 3.5 to 3.9 year old program, right? And they have a 4 to 6, and then a 7 to 12, and a 13 to 17. And they just say, look, 6 months at that age, between 3 and 4 years old, 6 months represents a very large portion, a very large percentage of a child's life. So there's developmental differences massively. And so they're like, we're gonna tailor, tailor our programming to that age group. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot more out there than I think there was years ago, especially when we were learning to ski, or and before.
That's awesome. And Kim, this always makes you think of your book, sort of the Glossary of Ski Terms, and how important that is for new skiers in the market, people, adults and kids that don't know this. What's been the reaction to people when they see the Glossary of Terms and they relate to the illustrations? What's been some of the feedback about your book?
Well, I did a book signing event a couple of weeks ago, and it was a dry ski slope. And they were doing taster sessions for people. They were just doing half-hour taster sessions, which I was kind of like, what can you actually achieve in half an hour? But people were coming off then, and they were talking to me, and they were saying, we've got our first ski holiday booked for this winter. I really don't know where to start. And so I was explaining about the book, and they're like, it sounds like just what we need. And it's really powerful when people look at the book and, you know, they pick it up, and the kids really respond to the cover. Definitely. The kids are like, I want a book, I want a book. And the parents are quite shocked, I think, that they, you know, if the child's happy to spend some time getting off a screen, then they're happy for, you know, for them to have a book. But as I say, it's for all ages. And yeah, the response is really, you know, people say it's just exactly what we need, because we just don't know. We don't know about what to wear and how to choose where to stay, you know, and there's tips in there about family skiing, and it gives you that, like you say, the jargon, information about lifts, and it's just meant to sort of tell you, it's not trying to tell you how to ski, it's telling you about everything that goes around it. And to try and remove that sort of fear, and to make people feel more comfortable that they've got the information, so that they at least kind of know where to start. And I've packed like over 40 years of tips in there, so there's some real gems in there, can really save people time, energy, and sort of remove some pain points for them. So
takes the intimidation out of it.
Yeah, no, it's that idea that, you know, you break down the barriers so people feel like they belong in our industry. They're not strangers to it. And I think, you know, Brian, what you're doing there is really helping kids play, right? It's not all about skiing. You want to get kids out there playing. Tell us about how this came about.
Yeah, so we didn't take an adult boot and kind of size it down. We started this project completely from scratch, and we started with ski schools over in Austria to really develop this. So we went over there, we talked to ski instructors, we talked to parents, we identified what those pain points were, and then we started the development of the boot. So we worked with those same ski schools throughout the development of the boot. We gave them different prototypes. We watched how the kids interact with the boot. We watched how much parental intervention had to happen to actually get the boot on the kids' feet. And ultimately, we came up with something that is super easy for kids to just put on by themselves. You know, mom or dad just kind of need to show them how the strap works, and then it's really intuitive for them. It's just like putting on their shoes. And then the other thing was just like how they walk around and interact, like once they have the boot on. And we wanted to make sure that they could walk freely, they weren't clumping around, so that they have a good time when they put the ski boots on their feet. You know, that's the whole, you know, challenge. You want kids to feel confident. You want them to have a good time. You want their feet to be comfortable and warm. So that was the idea here, really starting with the kids first and then developing the boot.
I have a question that somebody texted me. It didn't come in through the normal channels. Personal text. Leah, who is SoCal Gal on our website, wants to know, you've got two different models of that kid's boot. What does the second model go up to in sizes?
So there's the one that I showed you guys earlier here, and then there's the two, which starts at a 18.5 and goes up to a 20.5 Mondo size.
Cool.
That's cool. And I think we have a video. Do we have a video on this boot? Should we launch into that?
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Christoph Lentz, and I'm the PM for Alpine Boots at Fischer Sports. I'm here today with the new kids collection. To start off this project, we took a close look at our products and the competitors, paying special close attention to the needs of kids and parents. From all of this was born the Fischer 1 and the Fischer 2. Here, a lightweight chassis provides support to the rear and enables natural movement to the front. The zipper and the Velcro strap are easy and intuitive for parents and kids to use. Highly durable, double-layered PVC upper material is warm and waterproof. On the insole, a growing foot adjuster allows boots to keep up with growing feet. Standard mounted grip walk soles help kids play and walk. So, to recap, we made boots that are easy for kids and parents to handle, boots with a very low weight, under 400 grams, and up to at least 20% lighter than most of the boots on the market so far, and finally something new in a category that has remained unchanged for years. because we realize having the right boots can really make or break the family ski day.
Unchanged for years. I would say unchanged for decades, and then some. I mean, Eric, when you see that, what's going through your mind? That's what do you think of all that?
I think that's exactly what we need, right? We need innovation. We need thinking differently about the guest experience, and we need our manufacturers to ultimately be focused on just that, the guest experience. And I think we need that from all parts of the industry. That, you know, and from an end user, how would we design, you know, the most ideal equipment? And I think the manufacturers are getting there. And they all have, you know, their strengths and have ways that they're improving the guest experience. In kids, this seems like a winner. You know, I know Head is really focused on like speed through the rental shop, and the BYS system is probably the fastest there is. So that's a big sticking point for guests, is like, how do we speed up through the rental shop? Nobody wants to stand in line there. But for Fischer to take a focus with Kids Ski Boot and make it easier and get kids to fall in love with it, I mean, you got to love it. What's there not to love?
I mean, any
It's amazing.
parent who can hand a kid a boot and have them put it on themselves is a win, right?
I mean, Phil and Tricia, I don't know what to do if kids' feet aren't going to freeze, and how are they ever going to get used to frostbite? I mean, how are we going to teach these kids?
Well, it's the big mitten, the big wool mittens that we wore that all got all clumped with snow. We became abominable snowmen out there. But to the point with this boot, especially in today's age, where unfortunately we're parking now so much further from the resort and dealing with buses and shuttles now. This is again just going to take 2 or 3 things off the parents' plate and just make the whole experience that much more enjoyable. And I think this is huge. I mean, the kids are just not small, big people. They're proportioned different. They have completely different needs. And we forget that sometimes. And to your point, even earlier, and we're talking about somebody coming into the sport, we all forget that we were beginners once too. And we need to hold these people's hands to make the sport more accessible, more enjoyable. And I tell this to the people that are actually contributing a lot on our site, is when you're answering a question on a discussion on our site, you're not answering the person asking that question. You're answering the other thousands of eyes out there that might have that same question, but are afraid to ask it. They don't know who to ask it. So, I mean, it's so key to get more people involved in the sport.
I mean, it's really key what you're doing there, Brian. And what's been the industry response and people in the ski resort and the retailers?
The response has been really great. People are excited to see innovation. As you said, it's probably been decades since a ski boot for kids has been innovated like this. So yeah, we've gotten really good feedback. I think this season will be really telling now that it's out on shelves and people are actually trying it on their kids in the store. And getting kids out there and experiencing it and having testimonials from the kids themselves are going to make this, you know, an even better product for shops to sell.
The testimonial be there's no crying and skiing anymore. I mean, that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Just big smiles and having fun. Phil, we got any contests going on this week?
We do. We've got the winners from our last contest, which is going to be, if we can get that popped up there, our winners list. Steve Bartholomew, which I believe is on Facebook fairly regularly, he won the Peak skis. And congratulations, Steve. We got a couple of Peak right behind us when we come back to the screen there. And Steve, if you got any questions as far as suggestions as far as which ones you might want, we gave away also an awesome Toco free ride ski vise. I mean, this is a $260 vise, accommodates pretty much any ski width on it, and just a tremendous vise. We use one of them in our garage also when we're mounting and tuning skis, and Daniel Mahoney won that. Then third place actually is a new sponsor with us, LED Lenser, which they're lighting system, which is tremendous for night riding. If you're into night riding on your mountain bikes, which is just a tremendous sport unto itself, if you're hiking at night, but this lighting system is just unbelievable as far as the power that they have. And if you've been night riding for years, going back to the old Night Rider 15 watt, it's a completely different animal of a sport. I mean, it's just incredible as far as the display of light that this puts out. But we got a Super B-Man from that's on SkiTalk won that. So we've got that contest that just ended. And then our upcoming contest, well, we've got Brian on here, is we've got the new Fischer Ranger 102 that we're going to be giving away. And thank you, Brian, for supplying that. We're going to add a little bit of the review coming up with that at some point here in the show. Talk a little more there. And then Toto, again, the title sponsor of our giveaways, is an all-inclusive ski and snowboard kit. And then for us older skiers that are out there that get tired at the end of the day and fatigued, we're also giving away a Theragun Mini, which is one of Tricia's favorite après ski devices.
Oh, I don't know how I'd live on a ski trip without it. They were gone.
That's great, man. I love it. I love it. That's really perfect. And I think Brian, with every pair of boots, you should get the Ski A to Z book. So maybe there's a deal to be had there with Kimberley. It's a natural fit. Eric, I know you're into all sorts of things these days. You want to bring us up to speed on the world of Eric Lipton, what's happening with snow operating and what you're up to these days?
Yeah, sure. I hope the viewers are interested in this. I run a company called Snow Operating. We have do a couple of different things in the industry. We own and operate Mountain Creek Resort in New Jersey. We own and operate Big Snow American Dream, which is North America's first and only indoor climate-controlled ski dome, just outside New York City. And the division that I spend most of my time in is working with resorts on guest experience. So our clients are resorts, and we help them kind of create guest experiences that are low hassle, that have a high propensity for a guest to return to, that help kind of connect the dots from folks sitting at home saying, I think I might want to try skiing or snowboarding, to what happens pre-arrival, what happens in the arrival experience, what the ticketing, the rental experience looks like, and then ultimately the on-snow program, and then how we get them back for a second visit. So I love what Kimberly's put together there about and from Fischer as well, about how do we create better first-time experiences? How do we prepare people so they know how to dress, the terminology, everything else, that we can get people to fall in love with this sport. The idea is to take them from first-timer to lifetimer. And although I would venture to guess that a lot of the viewers here watching are avid skiers and riders, and for those folks, the experience doesn't seem that hard, right? Like they buy a lift ticket or they have a pass, they park the car, they get on the chairlift, and they go skiing and riding. But for a first-time guest, there's much more interaction with the resort. There's much more opportunities for the resort to either make or break that experiences. They use the snow sports school. They use the rental shop. They have questions about what ticketing product they need. They don't know where to park. Everything's really spread out. They don't know what shuttle stop to get off at, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the snow sports school on snow program is different, and then there's variety in the quality of the instruction. So there's a lot more, like I said, opportunities to make or to break the guests, passion for skiing and riding. And we spend a lot of time working with resorts on just that. How do we get better, lower the hassle factor, and get people to go from first timer to lifetimer?
Of course, I think it's really relevant, particularly with sort of the volume of skiing we see with the multi-mountain passes and some of the more established resorts, in the East, I think of Stowe, and of course out the, highway in the resorts in Highway 70, how are you dealing with those interactions where, you have the core skier going, hey, there's a lot of people at my ski area now. What's the strategy there to kind of ease that out?
Yeah, I mean, it's we certainly, like, COVID has wreaked havoc on the world at large. We can all agree on that. The ski industry and resorts have kind of been a beneficiary of the work from home and the stay at home culture that we've kind of had these last couple of years. People came out to ski and ride in droves, and as an industry, we had a record year last year. So in the 42 years that the National Skiers Association has been tracking participation, last year we did more skier visits, 61 million, than we've ever had before. So we do feel like, some people feel like we're bursting at the seams, but we really can't hang our hat on 2 good years, 2 robust years as saying we don't need growth and we don't need to bring new people in. We still have to, as an industry, we and resorts have to attribute a certain amount of budget to growth, to widening the funnel, and bringing people into the sport. Because the fact of the matter is, the baby boomers aren't, they're skiing fewer and fewer days, and often Gen Xers are skiing fewer and fewer days. And we need to do what we can to introduce skiing and snowboarding to the masses. We need to make it more accessible, and everyone's got their opinion on the mega passes, but when what hits the news is Vail ski pass is $265, that screams to the 97% of Americans who don't ski and ride that skiing is inaccessible.
Yeah.
And we need to find ways to make it accessible and tell the story about how you can try it for a very inexpensive price. And if you go on to love it, a season pass product is definitely a value proposition. So there's a lot here, Dan. We can talk for hours about this stuff over a beer. Maybe we should one day. We should get together and have a beer again, make some turns. But I don't want to take this too far down the rabbit hole.
Well, it's really relevant. Brian, to that point, what do the boots cost?
So for the entry level boot, $169, and for the 2, one step up, just $179. So a $10 increase there, but really affordable for what you're getting with this boot.
Absolutely. And what's the book cost, Kim?
It's $12.95 cover price. $14.95 US, and it's actually endorsed by Dan Egan.
Ah. Well, if that doesn't
in the book as well, but yeah, I mean, it's such an affordable way to kind of basically fast track to actually understanding about the sport. And I think when people are trying something new, they can feel a little bit silly, and and skiing is a sport where people are probably going to fall down, and and kind of so people can feel a little bit humiliated, and I think anything that makes them feel more comfortable, more confident, more informed, it just makes it so much easier. There's so much to learn, and it just really can help people to be able to, if they're curious about skiing, they then have got that kind of information sort of foundation to really build on for their skiing.
No, that's great. So it's that time of the show where we open it up to round table. We ask each other questions. We'll start with you, Trish. Feel free to ask anybody on the panel anything you want, and you can start the round of the round table.
I guess I'd like to ask Kimberley, what inspired you to write this book in the first place?
One of my friends, she asked me, her daughter was going on a school ski trip. They're actually in Dubai. And she said, I don't know what my daughter should wear. And I actually put together a YouTube video. I got all like one of our kids' stuff out, and I talked her through it. And then after skiing one day in the Three Valleys in France, I thought, I want to paint something. What shall I paint? I thought, I'll paint ski equipment, something I know about. And the project led from there. And then lockdown, COVID hit, wasn't able to ski. And I think that kind of not being able to do it, and also not being able to do it actually started in a winter season, really kind of brought it home about what difference it's made to our lives and how much skiing enhances our existence as a family, and my family, and my new family, and so I just sort of thought about, if we hadn't had that in our lives, it felt like our lives would have been kind of darker, and it just made me just feel like more people should have this opportunity. It shouldn't be. I understand that there are financial kind of restrictions and barriers for people, but like Eric's saying, it doesn't have to cost a fortune to try. If people can try, if they're local to a slope, or if they've got an artificial facility, then go along, and people don't necessarily, like in the UK particularly, people can live their whole life skiing, and they might never go to mountains, but they can enjoy the sport as an outdoor sport, like they would go and play football, or kind of go, I don't know, canoeing comes to mind. But it's like another activity that they can do. And in South Yorkshire at the moment, we used to have a dry ski slope, and then it closed. There was some damage, And it just pains me that there's generations here that are growing up without that opportunity. And there's kids that are, you know, presently in Team GB that started off skiing at that slope and have been to 3 and 4 Olympics. And children now have to travel like hour and a half to be able to even just feel that kind of that vibe, that glide. And so, yeah, I just wanted to just try and make it as accessible to people as possible.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Very cool.
How about you, Phil?
Actually, for Eric, actually 2 questions. One, we're seeing much more of a trend now. We talk about kids as far as kids parks and kids trail maps and such. And I think that's just a huge step that we're seeing in the progression of mountains and realizing to make it much more accessible for the family and much more fun. So, I mean, we're seeing this a little more as an industry trend. That's the first point. Then I'll let you answer that. Then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, I think so, Phil. I love seeing that, like these on-mountain adventure zones, which I think is what you're kind of describing. Yeah. You know, resorts have always felt like the children's center, so the indoor program needed to be, the building had to be animated and fun because kids are going to spend time indoors during, you know, you check the kids in, maybe they're waiting inside, they're playing, they're doing some things before they're grouped with an instructor and sent out for the day. And that's still important. You know, you think of places like Aspen and their Snowmass and the Treehouse, which is a phenomenal children's center. We just finished a design at Steamboat, phenomenal children's center. But I think the pandemic was a pretty good indication that maybe we need more, like the on-mountain adventure zones can be just as important and more fulfilling for kids outside. Beaver Creek has always done a great job of that, these kids' trails. You know, I feel like we can only benefit from that. Big Sky has some new trails cut right down the front of the mountain where the next to the Explorer chair for that as well. So we're all for that. That's exactly the kind of stuff we need to be able to add amusement and entertainment to the instructional piece.
I like the kids' trails too.
Yes.
Yeah, you just got to duck sometimes to go under those.
Then the other question, actually, the point I'd like to make, it sounds like what you're looking to address in the industry. There's been an unfortunate trend in the previous 10 years or so. And I've always felt the most important skier out there is the first timer, because we need to get them into the sport and to make it enjoyable. But the resorts have been always very short-sighted in the treating of that employee, of that customer. They're giving him the lowest quality employee, going through the rental shop. They're giving them the first-time instructor that might have 4 days on snow before them instead of the most qualified people, and realizing this person is the future of the sport. And how is that being addressed now?
Yeah, that's a big topic, Phil. I appreciate you asking that. So that first-time guest, we spend the lion's share of the work we do is based on kids and the first-time guest. For all the reasons I said before, that they interact with the resort, we're making our first impression with the sport and so forth and so on. And to make it for this matter to hit home even further, we did a study a few years ago, went to major cities and asked people if they've ever skied or ridden before. And if they said yes, we then followed up with, what was your experience like? Their answers were scary, cold, painful, and frustrating. Those were their top 4.
Wow.
And so you wonder, again, we're in a sport where if you've ever said to one of your friends who's tried it for the first time, if you've ever said, hey, just stick with it, like eventually it's going to be fun. Or yeah, I know you're bruised and battered. The first day on snowboard is tough, but eventually you're really going to enjoy this lifestyle. Well, it's got to be fun from day one. And I think the National Skiers Association has put together growth task forces, which we participate in. We've written, in conjunction with National Skiers Association, the conversion cookbook, like a guide for resorts for how to make the first time guest feel important, feel catered to, and inject more fun and more value into the experience. Because when you stand in line at the rental shop for an hour and a half, get boots that don't really fit all that well, you're sweaty and tired and angry by the time you get out to on snow, they don't know which instructor to put you with, or the instructor doesn't seem like the person who really wants to be there. This is strike after strike after strike after strike. And it's really no wonder why 81% of people who try skiing and snowboarding in this country never come back.
Yep.
So it's a problem for us, and it looks like the slopes are crowded out there. We've had 2 good years, but the fact is we have to do a better job, and resorts are starting to, and some more than others for sure. But many are coming around to this idea that we've got to devote more resources to providing better first-time experiences.
Can I follow up actually a question for Brian too?
Yeah.
So Brian, again, we talk about not over equipping kids.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about this now with adults. How do we avoid that tendency? You need to be in a 4-buckle race boot. You need to have this tight fit, and to make the sport a little more enjoyable and accessible for the adults too. I mean, how is Fischer taking a look at that?
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle as well. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're a first-time skier, you want to have that good experience. We're constantly thinking about that as we develop new products. Our RC1 skis, while they're pretty high performance, they're very intuitive to ski. When you get on them, they are friendly. They do what you expect them to do. Whereas some skis that are meant for high performance are very stiff, and you get a first-time skier on there and it's not intuitive for them at all, and they have a bad experience. So in the skis, just trying to make things that are easier to ski and kind of can progress with you as you become a better skier. I think that's like the kind of goal with our RC1 collection. And then we're bringing in nice things like our RC1 boot and our Ranger 1 boot have an easy open tab on them. I wish I had a boot here to show you, but there's kind of a third piece underneath that second and third buckle that opens up for you and allows it to get a really easy entry into the ski boot. So for those people that have, thicker ankles or bigger feet, we're making ski boots that are really easy for them to get on as well and to enjoy that first time experience. And Phil, your comment about kids ski instructors, that hits super close to home for me. So I learned how to ski at Neshoba Valley, a small hill outside Boston. And I just had like a magnetic attraction to skiing as a kid. All I wanted to do was learn how to ski. And I had a really bad experience in group lessons to the point where my mom wanted to pull me out of the program and just say, hey, skiing's not your sport. And I'm really glad she didn't. And I'm really glad she pushed with the ski school, because I met a ski instructor named Mark Shepard. His brother Ron is actually pretty involved with PSIA. And I met him years later at a ski event, which was pretty funny. But Mark was able to really work with me one-on-one and just figure out what was going on and why I wasn't picking it up in the group lesson. And now here I am, the marketing director of a ski company. So I'm really excited that really grateful that I met Mark Shepard and had someone that could work kind of one-on-one with me to figure it out. I think I'm a lefty with some things, a righty with some things. So it wasn't the most intuitive thing for me to learn in a group lesson, but Phil, it makes all the difference in the world to have good instructors out there with the kids, setting them up for a future of skiing.
No, that's so true. What a great testimony too to one of the iconic ski resorts in the East, the Neshoba Valley, has turned a lot of people onto skiing and sent them off for mountains around the world. Kim, do you have any questions for anybody?
I'm interested in talking to Eric about getting the book into your sort of lesson system.
We got the order pad right here, Eric. How do you do for the indoor slope in Jersey?
It's like these are the people that can really benefit from the information that's been pulled together there. It complements instruction. I'm not really kind of asking questions, am I? But I just think, like you say, it's really important for people to have positive experiences. And I think that the ski community has to kind of embrace people, and one of the things with the book is that, sometimes someone says to you, oh, I think I'd like to try skiing, what do I need to do then? And I think a lot of people, must think, like, how long have you got? And have you got the patience? And have you got the time to help this person? And all these steps to get from someone thinking, I want to do this, to actually doing it. And Eric, that's a frightening statistic that 81% of people don't go again. And I think that, you're saying about people being afraid, well, that's about information and not learning at the right speed and cold and not knowing what to wear and all those things that you said. And so I mean, it's just like, will you please help people, kind of, with this, because it can just save them so much pain. So can you? Is the question.
Yeah.
I have one more
Go ahead,
question
Tricia.
for
Sorry.
Brian.
Yeah.
When I was doing the ski school program with my nephew's little church school that he went to, we had one girl in the group that we really struggled to get her into a boot because she was obese and she had bigger calves. How does the boot that you guys have, how does that accommodate somebody with maybe a little bit bigger calf?
You know, the plastic is, it's not like a 130 injected plastic that you'd see in an adult boot. It's a very friendly plastic. So it does, well, it's not heat moldable. It does open up quite a bit when you have it on there. So it does fit a wide variety of shapes. You can really see, you can pull this out pretty easily. The plastic's super easy to get out there.
I mean, I remember this girl was almost in tears and wanted to give it up because she didn't figure she was ever going to be able to go out and ski like the other kids in her age group. Because in order to get her calf in a boot, we had to put her in a boot that was so big.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a fit for her.
Yeah, and we're addressing that in
important.
future boot development as well too. I mean, this boot's really up to your six-year-olds kind of at the latest. But we're coming out with some new junior boots as well here next season. A little teaser for you guys. So you'll start to see some more of the innovation that we're going to bring up to the older kids as well.
And that whole topic speaks to what Kimberly's talking about, which is not feeling silly and not feeling out of place and feeling like you're a part of the group. And, you know, wouldn't it be great if this kid had a slam dunk boot that she could go into a rental shop and get and not feel out of place next to the other kids?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
had a question for Brian. Because when I worked in Austria, we used to have to like fit up like 26 kids, like, and the small tots, and like the youngest ones were like 18 months. Couldn't really sort of communicate, so you needed to be able to take the inner out easily, you know, put the inner on, see where their foot was in the inner as to whether to understand whether that boot was okay for them or not. So does the inner of the boot come out easily?
Super easy. Yeah, I'll show you right here. Had a weird angle, but yeah, just pull that gaiter back, and this thing, once you undo the strap, comes out super easy.
Wow,
Oh,
great.
brilliant.
And then you can see that footbed that Christoph was showing off in there as well. And this comes with that half size spacer. So when they grow a little bit, you just unvelcro that and throw it back in the boot.
That seems so simple, but genius.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Brilliant.
Brian, do you have any questions for anybody?
Kimberly, I mean, we'd love to have some of those books to have our reps travel around with. I think it's a great kind of completing the story. You know, why we did this and what fun the kids can have. So yeah, really excited to learn about the book, and yeah, love to see one in person.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll arrange that.
We're all about getting deals done here live on SkiTalk. It's what it's all about, and it's one of my favorite parts of this community, of the ski community we all live and work in. You know, all of us working in the same direction to get more people out on the snow to have a lot of fun. And you know, I've skied with a lot of people all over the world, and one of the finest skiers I've ever skied with is Mr. Eric Lipton. He's got quick feet. He's dynamic. He's fun to watch. And I think we have a little video of you, Eric. Let's tee that up.
Oh, boy.
We should have left
Yikes.
the mic on, Eric, so you could have narrated that.
Yeah. That's 10 years old. That's a video that was at National Team Tryouts 2012.
Wow.
A compilation of somebody shot that footage. So that's a throwback. As I said, I had a YouTube channel, and it was affiliated with an old email address that Google deleted because I hadn't used it anyway. I lost my YouTube channel, which had more current stuff. So unfortunately, the viewers were subject to that 10-year-old.
We're going to
late April Manchosaurus out in Snowbird.
Phil is building his YouTube channel, so we'll be posting more Eric Lipton on the SkiTalk YouTube channel. But Eric, I know that one, you've spent your whole life, really honing in the skills, and you're skiing at such a high level. How do you translate that? One, tell us when you see yourself ski, what are you looking at? What are you seeing? I'm seeing a lot of motion, a lot of edging, a lot of stabilization in the turn, quick transitions. What are you seeing, and how important is it that people see good skiing so that they can emulate it?
Well, I'll take that last comment you said. I think is critically important, and I love watching. How important you asked how important is it for people to see good skiing? Like we have this. People are afraid to ski under the chair, but I love when ripping skiers ski under the chair because people need to see what good skiing is. People need inspiration. They need to say, gosh, I want to ski like that person, like that guy, like that gal. Look at her, look at him. Skiing bumps, like standing on the ski, moving with the equipment in an athletic way that has touch and finesse and grace and all those things we use to describe great athletes. Like we need more people, more great skiers skiing under chairs. So that's my soapbox for that. As far as watching that video, I'm my own worst critic, right? I'm finding 1,000 things I'm doing wrong there. But in that snow, I'm trying to. If we want to talk tech for just a quick second, I'm trying to get the ski to slice because a ski on edge will do better in some of that mank than a ski flat. That's where the blunt tip is hitting these piles of snow. This was late April at Snowbird, so I'm trying to get the ski to slice, and I'm really just trying to stand on my outside ski and make it look as smooth as possible, even though I'm probably rattling out some fillings.
Well, it was, I loved it because there was, as you were on the outside ski, there was also a lot of inside ski action that was occasionally carrying some of the turn and some of the initiation. So like I said, quick feet, always dynamic, always fun to ski with. And I'm looking forward to winter. I can't wait. It's really, that's what this show is all about. It's what happens every day on SkiTalk. You can go on there and get information on where to go, what to ski on. There's great contests, as you see tonight. There's books at the store. I think Kimberly's book is listed on the store at SkiTalk. And Brian, congratulations with Fischer. Everything you're doing, well done.
Thank you.
It's that time of evening again. SkiTalk Live from around the world. Kim and I here in London to Park City, Tahoe, and Brian, you must be where? Back east somewhere?
Yeah, right outside Manchester, New Hampshire.
There you go. We are truly worldwide tonight. We want to thank you all for watching. Phil, when's our next show?
In 2 weeks, we get that scheduled. We've got some really impressive guests coming up. I'm trying to get everything locked down and work with everybody's schedules, signing bonuses. Dealing with the agents and everything.
Wait, we get paid for this? Wait a minute. I'll have my agent call you.
Yes. But again, everybody watching, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends. We have the shows every 2 weeks and all through the winter, and we have contests all through until about Christmas time.
Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining us right here on SkiTalk Live.
Thanks, everybody.